Hey, I am at my school. It's Monday, and I am back from a weekend of Danish Nationals. And of course, I've made a PowerPoint for you guys with results. Here we go. Here we go. Just need to bring up the PowerPoint. So these are the results of the Danish Nationals 2025. The pack itself was one rifle platoon per other platoon, a maximum of one multi-rocket launcher, one observer of any kind. And there were very few observers. I think there was one air observer and like two British artillery observers, something like that. We had 2 games at 600 points and 4 games at 1250 points. And the final round was placement games, so that if you were in 3rd and 4th place, I was, then you were fighting for 3rd place and 4th place. You couldn't really be knocked down and out, so there was no submarining going on in the final round at all. And here, by the way, we have a picture of the surprise star of the tournament. This is Anders next to Michael C. Michael C was the TO for the tournament, and Anders is a new player that I'm training, and he was in 1st place for almost all the tournament, and he stumbled in the finals with a little bit. He had a draw in the finals against Lasse Lind, and that draw meant that they went to kill points for the finals, and Lasse won on kill points. So close. So yeah. And he is here with his 2nd place trophy. Yeah. I'm very proud of him. Tables. I also, because I've thought so much about tables recently, I wanted to show you guys some of the tables that we had. These tables are all within the limitations that I sort of have made for my Commander's Compendium, me and David's Commander's Compendium. We have some recommendations for how much terrain you have on your board for tournaments, at least, and these are all inside, and you can still see, but there's a huge difference here between how much terrain there is on one board and the other. Right, take the two, like the top board up here with the that's a Russian agricultural area up here. That is very open. Too open in my book, actually, but it has enough pieces of terrain, individual pieces of terrain, but it was a very difficult game to play on, and I played on that one, and we had to go to the center. There were 2 objectives in the center which gave you points every round, so 2 timely, and you had to go up to those in order to gain points, right? So and my opponent had infiltrating scouts, Soviet scouts. So that was a difficult matchup. I won it, but we both agreed that table was too open. So perhaps there's also something about where you place your terrain. It needs to be not all the way to the side, and it needs to be of a certain size, and at least the line of sight blockers. Some line of sight blockers need to be in the center, but not too many, because then you block off, which you can see down here. If you have too many line of sight blockers, then gun lines won't work. And funny enough, this here table down here, this Northern African table, it won the best table. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved playing on it. It was perfect for my army. But the owner, Anders Gerfeldt, actually brought a gun line army, so he would have possibly hated playing on his own table. Here we have a very lovely Italian village. I played on this table in double envelopment. That worked perfectly. Here we have another little French village, and I have some thoughts on rivers. Rivers, we need to talk about how to handle rivers in tournaments, because I know there was at least one game during this tournament that was more or less decided by who won the first roll-off, and then chose the other person in sectors to be behind a river, and like, yeah, that's completely viable, and you should always bring something to cross rough ground with in your army list, but that's not fun. So we need to talk about how to handle rivers, or maybe outlaw rivers altogether, but I also think that is not fun. So The results. The result was that Lasse Lind, seen here with the trophy for the Danish Nationals. My name is on that trophy there as well, as is both Bjarke and Michael Fies. And now Lasse will join us with a little plaque. He won with his 16 ordered Germans after having beaten Anders in the final game. He had German mechanized, and he also won Best Painted, by the way. Congratulations to Lasse. It was a wonderful, wonderful tournament for him, and I've already featured his army on this channel. Go and watch my A Painter and His Army list. You can see his army list there. Also the list for the Danish Nationals in the description. Anders Midtgaard, he came second with his 21 ordered MSU Brits. I myself could not claw my way into the top table. I played against Lasse, and I one more kill point and I would have won, but we drew instead. I had to take, it was more than 3, so I needed 4 points more than him, and I had 3, so it was that close. But that put me in position, after having just barely drawn against Christian Lyngvad in an earlier game, to fight against Christian Lyngvad again for third place, and I won that matchup. So my 17 ordered armored Brits take third. Christian Lyngvad's 21 ordered mortar Brits, so he had a lot of mortars and a heavy tank and a Crusader AA. And it was a perfect list for him. It was straight down his alley. It's like what he likes to do, what he's been doing for years. It's skirmishing, a lot of like long range fire, and then sometimes moving all the way up into your face and unloading stuff at you. We were both of us as well playing white scout cars, which are absolutely brilliant. 21 ordered. He did very well as well, and of course both me and him have been on the national team, so good players. Torben K was another surprise. I had not rated him to be in the top 5, but he did manage to claw his way in there with his 17 ordered Italian tankettes. He had a bunch of Italian HMG tankettes, very tiny, and they were just driving everywhere, shooting people up, and it was his best result ever, and I really, really am proud of him as well. Congratulations, Torben. Michael Eistrud, whom I beat on the Italian village table in double envelopment, he came 6th with his 24 ordered Italian barbecue and armored cars. My predictions were that Michael Eistrud would be in the top 5. He came 6th. I had also predicted Thor to be in the top 5. He was unfortunately missing in action. He was sick, so he called off. I had also rated Jan Petersen to be in the top 5. He wasn't. He came 11th. And Anders Gerfeldt, I had also rated to be in the top 5. He didn't make that. He came 14th. He had brought a gunline army, which didn't work. I think the tables were not in his favor. And then, of course, myself, and I came 3rd. So there were my list ranking. When the way I made these predictions was I ranked the players, then I ranked their lists, both of them, and I added all that up. And based on that, I gave my predictions. That doesn't work. My list ranking is way off. But if I only take player ranking, then I would have ranked me, Christian, Michael Eistrud, Anders Midtgaard, and Anders Gerfeldt. I would have been wrong on one of those counts then, right? So I'm way more accurate if I only look at the player, and I think I should start doing that and just ignoring what people are bringing, what lists people are bringing. However, Anders Gerfeldt, that was a bit of a wacky one. My main takeaways, by the way, here we have Michael G, along with Michael C, lots of Michaels here, with his trophy for Wooden Spoon. He was an absolute gentleman, and he also won the best sportsmanship Oh, this is actually the best sportsmanship trophy. He also won the wooden spoon. He was an absolute gentleman all weekend. He had a blast, even though he was losing games. Right? I think he also won 1 or 2 games as well. So that was really cool. My main takeaways. Barbecue is not dead, but you need to be really good and know what you're doing in order to do it. And there's a certain way of doing barbecue now that's the way you do it. And I think Michael Ice had the right call on that one. And he was the only one doing it, right? Assault is not dead, but again, you need to know what you're doing. You need a lot of training, because we had other assault armies than mine, right? We had a Polish Lancer army, we had another army that was all Gurkhas, and those two didn't do well at all. I did well, I had some Gurkhas in my army, but I didn't do much assaulting, although I did have some key assaults. So I think my training with the Gurkhas, my knowledge of how to work them, and my adaptability with the Gurkhas was what made that. I will say this, I will not recommend you assault with anything else than dedicated assaulters, because I lost so many Gurkha units during this weekend, right? Veterans die in version 3. They get shot to pieces. And I think a safer way to do this is to have your veterans with SMGs in a transport. That's a safer way to go about it. But there are still things that assault can do. Gun lines. Gun lines don't work if there's enough terrain. I'm very much looking forward to digging into the results for the Swedish Nationals, because the Swedes were all bringing gun lines. We had like 1 or 2 gun lines, and they did very poorly. So I'm very much looking forward to digging into the Swedish results, because the Swedish tables looked a little bit more open than ours. So does that favor gun lines? Does it shift the meta? Armor though, armor is everywhere, and if you want to win, you need a lot of it, right? Everyone who was in the top 6 had brought lots of armor. You can't win without it. All infantry armies, yeah, you may be able to win some games, and you may be able to land in the top 50%, but you're not going to be top table. Maneuver. Was maneuver possible? Yes, it was, because there was enough terrain on the tables. On the open table that I talked about earlier, maneuver was really, really difficult. But on the tables that had enough terrain, so a little bit more than we're used to in V2, maneuver could be done, and maneuver won games. It was not the passive player who won the games, although in some games it was, but the active player also had a chance, right? Mechanized is the key to this as well. If you need to maneuver on an open table, you need mechanized. My personal takeaways is that I had 2 draws. One of them was 1 kill point from a win. One of them was 1 kill point from a loss. So the edge of my nails clinging onto the second draw, but I managed to do it. And the first one, I couldn't kill one lieutenant with an autocannon. He made his cover save, soft cover. I tried. I think planning works. If you plan for the mission, and if you build your list with the pack in mind as well, that works. Experience also works. If you're not experienced, then you start making mistakes, and my brain is fried today because I was on fire that whole weekend. I didn't make many mistakes, and I think that playing a lot of games is what gives you experience. Losing games as well. It doesn't hurt to sometimes lose games, because it will give you experience. And being able to take a punch, right? I started many of my games losing to order dice, and I was already low on order dice compared to my opponents. So I was like, okay. But some players will then start doing desperate stuff. I didn't. I kept on doing what I needed to do. So keeping a focus on the mission, on what you need to do, and not being distressed by the punches that land on you. So I'm pretty happy with being like more or less the only undefeated player. Anders Midtgaard is not technically defeated because he and Lasse drew in the final game, but since kill points was the secondary one, he lost that game, of course, on the kill points. But being undefeated, I will take that in any tournament. That's perfectly acceptable for me. So thank you to the EO group, which is Bjarke, Jan, and Michael, and Christian, and me. Thank you to those. Thank you so much to Michael Christensen for our game on Saturday night, which he won, and also for TOing the event. He was both the TO and the ringer, and he did very well. So it was a brilliant event, a lovely weekend, and thanks to everyone who attended, to the boys who we had a road trip and a B&B, lovely place. Thank you so much. That's it for me. See you next time.